Sports, 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 sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Sportsball, part of the SPDM crew of podcast. We talk about sports-related topics, but we focus on you, the fan, and what you like, whether it's a sport, team, athlete, sports-related event, or sports-related news. This week, it is the NBA playoffs that are starting. NBA playoffs officially start tonight. I don't really count the play-in games as the official playoffs, just like I don't count the play-in games for the NCAA tournament. So this is some analysis and taking a look at what's going on with all of the NBA playoff previews for the first round, and then also giving you my picks for who's going to move on for all of them. And I'm going to start in the East because the East feels pretty straightforward with what's to come with this. So we're going to start with our 1-8 matchup, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who is the number one seed in the East, versus the Miami Heat, who squeaked in for a play-in win. The 10 seed that excuse me, the 10 seed that squeaked in because beat they beat the 9 seed, which was the Chicago Bulls. Almost feels like a mercy kill at this point to make sure that the Bulls don't get in the playoffs. As much as they were fun throughout the course of the season, it doesn't change the fact that they're also not a very good team. So I didn't want the Bulls, as a Bulls fan, to be rewarded for this. Plus, they can go into the offseason with the prospect of keeping their own pick, and hopefully lottery luck will strike their way when it comes to the NBA lottery this year for the draft, because there's a lot of great prospects in the draft. And one thing that I'm definitely looking forward to is who they're going to pick inevitably at around the 7 to 10 range, because that's normally what they've been getting over the last couple of years if they didn't trade their pick away. The Miami Heat limped into the playoffs this year as the Jimmy Butler drama just engulfed the team. Tyler Hero has been playing out of his mind lately, but a lot of the other players have been having a bit of a down year. So I was wondering what the Miami Heat were going to look like in the play-in, and they just dominated both games, and I really enjoyed that. But I think the buck stops here because Cleveland has been the best team all of this year, particularly in the East, and they've been the most consistent. They've got size, which Miami doesn't really have a whole lot of. They've got wing stoppers, and then they've got scoring with the leaps from Evan Mobley, and then also Donovan Mitchell having a fantastic year. So I don't think that the Heat are going to get in a game. So I'm just going to say Cavs in 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if Miami snuck one in there. Next, we have the Indiana Pacers at number 4, with the Milwaukee Bucks at number 5. Now, with the Bucks, I would have thought that they would have been a higher seed, probably three seed, but the Knicks got that seed. So it's shocking that the Pacers and the Bucks are playing again in the playoffs. And they play so much because they're in the same division. So there's something to be said about that. Tyrese Halliburton has been playing out of his mind lately, and they've got a strong supporting cast. That one guy. So Pascal Siakam is doing really well. Miles Turner is having a great year, and then I just feel like I trust the coach Rick Carlisle a lot more than I trust Doc Rivers. And right now, the Bucks are kind of in a weird spot because it's Giannis. It feels like we're back to the days of Giannis and the Pips, because Giannis is playing solo right now because Damian Lillard has a blood clot. He was diagnosed with deep vein thrombosis a couple months ago, and they're already saying that he's coming back. And I don't think that's a good idea because I don't see a whole lot of scenarios where the Bucks are going to go very far in the playoffs this year. So my prediction for this is that I'm thinking Pacers in 6 with this one. Today they just destroyed the Bucks in their first game of the series, which that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to punch them in the mouth. But if Damian Lillard could come back, I think And if he is just even remotely a shell of himself, I think that that would be a good thing for the Bucks. But ultimately, I think the Bucks are going to be a one first round exit, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes. And I think Doc Rivers is gone, and I think they trade Dame Lillard. I don't see a whole lot of scenarios if they were to trade Giannis, because that has been kind of out there in the ether lately. But I don't think that the Bucks team, Milwaukee Bucks, are going to look the same, and I think they're going to take a couple steps back because they already traded Chris Middleton. Brooke Lopez is probably this is probably his last year here. Bobby Portis has kind of served his purpose, and after that suspension, he just hasn't been as good. This team needs to get younger and more athletic, and they just need a new philosophy because it just hasn't worked with Doc. And I think personally, I think this is Doc Rivers' last time coaching in the NBA because I think the jig is up. I think everybody has kind of figured out what Doc has been able to do best. He can do defense, but he just can't get it done in the playoffs. And the one time that he did, he had three Hall of Fame players on his team. So I just think that the Bucks are done after this series, and then this is going to be a wild summer for them. Next is the 3-6 matchup in the East. We've got the New York Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons, and the Knicks had to come from behind to win game one on Saturday as I'm recording this. And the Pistons have been one of the best stories this year because they had one of the worst records ever last year. They exceeded the record for longest losing streak of all time in the NBA last year. Cade Cunningham has definitely made a leap, and there have been a lot of great pieces around. Like Isaiah Stewart has been doing really well. Dennis Schroeder has been doing well. Tobias Harris had a sneaky good year, which is interesting because he, was kind of a punchline for the Philadelphia 76ers, but at least he found a home in Detroit and he's thriving there. So that's great. And then Sor Thompson, who's the brother of Amen Thompson on the Rockets, he's having a great year too. And he's another person who had a blood clot not too long ago. And that's something that's very interesting. And I'm kind of curious about why a lot of these NBA players have been getting blood clots lately. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But the Knicks, they've had an interesting year this year because they've taken a massive step back defensively in favor of getting offense. I don't know what happened to Mikal Bridges because he is just not the same person that he was in Phoenix or he was in Brooklyn. And Jalen Brunson has looked outstanding as well. And OG Anunoby has been doing really well as of late on both the offensive and defensive side. Carl Anthony Towns had a fantastic year for the Knicks as well. He kind of fit in seamlessly with them, but he's also a defensive liability as well. And Mitchell Robinson hasn't played a whole lot this year, so I don't know what they're going to do against Detroit, who is a pretty big team. They're very physical, but they're also very young. And JB Bickerstaff should get some Coach of the Year honors or just some Coach of the Year nominations because of what he did to turn the Pistons around. But I think that this is New York Knicks in six, mainly because Tom Thibodeau is going to have his team ready to play. He's going to have his team playing like 50 minutes a night, which I'm concerned about because by the time that they become cannon fodder to the Boston Celtics in the next round, it's just like I feel like it's just going to be a sweep at that point, which brings me to the 2-7 matchup, which is the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. And the Orlando Magic, I have to give them a lot of credit because they are young, scrappy, and defensive minded. And that's great. I have no idea where any of their offense is going to come from because Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner can do some great stuff when it comes to offense, but who's the rest of the points coming from? I have no idea. And the Celtics are the Celtics. They're the defending champs. I think they're just kind of built for this moment, and I think Celtics are going to win in four. So that's your first round preview of the East, which leads me to predict that I think the Boston Celtics are coming out of the East because the Cleveland Cavaliers are a great story and they're a great regular season team. Every other team has a fatal flaw. So, for example, Cleveland, they're too young, and I don't think that they're going to generate enough firepower offensively to keep up with a team like Boston, who's just going to let it fly. But I also think that Kenny Atkinson is untested so far, and Jared Allen has said that sometimes when the lights get too bright, it's just something that he struggles with. And I'm curious to see what Evan Mobley is going to do in this year's playoffs because he's definitely taken a leap, but I just need to see it in the playoffs first. So I'm not worried about Donovan Mitchell. I'm not worried about Darius Garland because they've been there, done that. But I am just very curious to see what's going to happen there. With Indiana, I just don't think that there's enough firepower there against the Celtics. And then the Knicks, there's just not enough defense to stop the Celtics and such. So in my estimation, I think the Celtics are coming out of the East. So moving on to the West, the West has a lot more intriguing matchups. You got the one seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's the number one overall seed in the playoffs because they've had the best record throughout the NBA, and we have the Grizzlies. And I personally think that the Grizzlies winning in the playoffs or winning in the play-in was probably the worst thing that could possibly happen for them. They just fired their coach Taylor Jenkins, and they also John Morant is hurt. Of course, he's hurt. He's always hurt now. So I think this one, Oklahoma City Thunder do this in a sweep, and then they're going to let the 4-5 matchup, which is the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Clippers, play out as they rest and continue to get their team healthy. So on one end, you have the Denver Nuggets, who they just also fired their head coach. So Michael Malone is out in Denver, which is interesting. But they have Nikola Jokic, who's the best player in the world and the best player in the NBA and the best player in these playoffs right now. So I'm curious to see, though, how Jamal Murray steps up because Jamal Murray has been integral to the Denver Nuggets. And when he's on fire, then there's no stopping them from an offensive standpoint. I'm also very curious to see how their younger players are going to step up. You know, your Peyton Watsons, your Christian Brown, different people like that who haven't had the spotlight on them for a very long time. But then you have the Clippers. Oh, and also, I'm very curious to see what Westbrook is going to do for the Nuggets. He's kind of in a bit of an interesting spot where I'm not sure how much playing time he's going to get, but there's also going to be plenty of moments where he does something really good, and then there's going to be plenty of moments that make you want to bang your fucking head in with some of the things that he does. So predicting this is tricky because on the Clippers side, Kawhi Leonard looks fantastic, and James Harden looks amazing as well. James Harden has had an amazing year. And if there's a coach here that I trust just more than anybody here, I trust Ty Lue to have these guys ready to go. I'm going to go Clippers in 7 with this, mainly because I think Ty Lue at least has the coaching edge. And this is also assuming that Kawhi Leonard plays the entire series. If Kawhi Leonard gets hurt again, then it's Nuggets in 5 or 6 because I don't trust James Harden to get the Clippers out of the first round. But if Kawhi Leonard can play all the games, I'm going to say Clippers in 7. The next one, we've got the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers, who are the third seed, versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are the sixth seed. And it's Luca and LeBron versus the Timberwolves and Ant Edwards and Rudy Gobert and just the collection of talent that the Timberwolves have. So on one end, I don't know who on the Timberwolves is going to defend Luca and LeBron and Austin Reeves. I just don't understand. That math does not math to me. But also on the flip side, I don't understand who the Lakers are going to guard when it comes to interior presence because they don't have a full-time dedicated center on their roster right now. They are very small, and I'm very concerned about that. Also, JJ Redick, he's never coached in the playoffs before. He's played in the playoffs, but he's never coached in the playoffs. So I'm concerned about that as well, which leads me, this is probably going to be my first round quote unquote upset. I have the Timberwolves in 6. in this, because Ant Edwards, I think, is going to ratchet this up a notch, and then he's going to outduel Luca. And I think the Lakers are going to move into next season with a lot of firepower, a lot of momentum, and they're going to get another All-Star next to LeBron and Luca, assuming that LeBron comes back for one last year. So I'm going to go Timberwolves in 6 for this one. Finally, I also have the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors, and I have Golden State taking this in 7. And this is no disrespect to the Rockets, but I've heard a lot of analysis out there that said that this year's Rockets reminds them a little bit of the Sacramento Kings a couple years ago when they shot up all the way to the 2 seed, and Houston or the Golden State Warriors beat them as well. I think you're going to see a return to form for playoff Jimmy, and I think Steph Curry is going to play lights out. I am a little concerned that the Rockets are very young, so I will give them that, but they do have championship experience because Steven Adams has played in, or he's at least gotten far in the playoffs, and Fred VanVleet has won a championship as well. So I got to give him a little credit for that. However, the Rockets are largely untested. Ime Udoka is going to have them ready to play, so I've got every ounce of faith that that's actually going to be a thing. But the Warriors are the Warriors, and I will bank on the Warriors to win until it's time for them. But I also do think that the Rockets are a lot more physical than the Warriors like to play. And I think that they're going to present just a bit of an athletic challenge, because once you get past Jimmy and Steph Curry, there's nobody on the Warriors that can really step up from an offensive standpoint. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned if one of them gets hurt, then the series is a wrap. So I'm actually going to go an unconventional pick, and I'm going to pick Rockets in 7, mainly because I think it would be much better for NBA viewership if the next round was Lakers Warriors, but I think that I got to give credit to the youth movement with this. The Rockets earned the 2nd seed, so I will give them credit for that. All of this to say, I don't think anybody's beating Oklahoma City in the West this year. I think they learned a lot last year. I think they've got a clear path to the Western Conference Finals at minimum. So I'm excited about that, which leads me to my NBA Finals, which I think is going to be Oklahoma City versus Boston, and I think Boston's going to repeat. I think Boston's going to sleepwalk through the Eastern Conference, and I think that they're just going to overwhelm Oklahoma City with all the different things that they could do, and just that championship experience is going to matter a lot. I think Oklahoma City is going to get punched in the mouth a couple of times, and they got to wait until Chet actually starts to develop into a strong character or stronger offensive presence, and just continue to do that defensive prowess. Because right now, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is pretty much all, like, a good chunk of Oklahoma City's offense. And until somebody steps up for the Thunder, I don't buy it right now. So I'm picking Boston to win the NBA championship this year. But what are your thoughts? What are you looking forward to this year's NBA playoffs? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be checking in with some people about some NBA off season stuff, NBA draft stuff coming up soon. That's going to do it for this episode of Sportsball. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew, wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website at SP.com. Shout out to HiFlyer Creative Studios for making an awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any marketing, logo, or brand standard needs, contact them at HiFlyerCreative.com. Check out the other shows on our network. We've got shows about comic books. We've got shows about physical media. We've got shows about trivia. We've got shows about movies, TV, music. We've got shows about J.R. Tolkien. Just a lot of different things out there. I'm really proud of the work that everybody is putting into this. So check out the other shows on our network, and I greatly appreciate the support. And finally, if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at gmail.com. Until next time, pain heals, chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever.